and welcome, and thank you for joining me again with the Danger Aware Animation Department. And today we are working on the Bugillagers, and we are creating a new character species, AnyLadyBug. So if you have joined me before in the last couple of weeks, you may have seen me working on this character. So this is our AnyLadyBug character, and the character you're seeing right now is considered our base character for the species. And in this case, this is our character Undecillion. And so Undecillion will be known as our Christmas character, because all of the identity values will be H0, which looks like ho 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 ho. So we call it the Christmas character simply because of the H0s. We've got the character completely rigged. The bones for the character have been put in, and all of the pivot bones, the pin bones to anchor each bone, so that when we stretch the bone, it doesn't lose its curve on the overlap for, clean joints. And even though insects have joints that we can see, on characters that you don't want to see the joint, I do something like that on the fingers. So when you look at what I've done with the fingers, you can apply that to the arms of human characters, and it works just as well there. And you don't end up with these rounds that you don't want to see on a human. But on our insects, we do want to see those, because insects have jointed limbs, and each limb is a separate object. And that's true in my character layout here as well. So the forearm is different than the mid-arm, which is different than the biceps, and so on. I do a lot of layering here, and the reason is because the more you work with the layers, the more you can do with your character as far as simulating 3D. And that's why Moho is known as 2.5D, is because it's in two-dimensional drawings on a flat surface. When you learn to work with the Z-axis, you can rotate and you can put your characters different places in the Z-axis, which can give us a parallax. When we're moving through a scene or whatever, we can get that effect moving in three-dimensional space. Yes, it's moving in a three-dimensional space, but the objects themselves are still two-dimensional. So let's get everything reset back to normal here. Now we're up to doing the digital DNA. Now I've already created all of the actions for digital DNA. In fact, I imported them into the character before I even started designing the character, because I want this identity for our species characters, so that when we do create a specific character, we can record who that character is. This would in effect be that character's identity name. It's not going to be a name, but it's going to be how we can come back and recreate the exact same character later, so by knowing that identity. And we want to do a program called Adopt a Character, so people will donate to Danger Aware by having the ability to take one of these characters and give it a name. So not only a name, but maybe even personality and so on. So that's something we want to get in the works in the future. But for now, we're going to go start working on creating the multi-character now. So we've got our main character. Now we're going to create the multi-character. So I'm going to save this as a new identity, and we were on 12, so this is going to be 13. I save a new identity every time I make a major change to the work I'm working on. That comes from years of computer programming. So if you find that a little strange, yeah, it's because I'm I'm a computer programmer, not an animator. So, alright, so here we are. We've got our root character, we've saved it, and we're ready to start. So we're going to create the actions in this action. Now the action itself is created, and it already will do the identity change, but nothing else. So this is for the skull size of the character. And so when it's all the way to the left, I've already done the rotations and the lettering. So you can now see that this lever has the value of A0. And when we jump to the maximum, which is not 65, because our constraints are minus 70 and 70, it's 141. So we add the two values, or the absolute value of the two values together, and add 1. So instead of 140, we go to 141. And so at 141, our value is P0. And no, it shouldn't be P0. There should be an O, but we skip O so that there's no confusion between O and 0 once we get a lot of values going through here. I didn't want to see O0, O, which one's which? Yeah. So there is no O, but there is all the other letters up to, and then P is the final position. If we were at 140, we wouldn't even need the P, but because we're going to 141, we need the P. So now you can see our identity changes with that lever. So whatever the lever is going to give us the identity of this particular skull size. So now we change our skull size, and that's where these bones come in. That's why we needed these bones. So what we're going to do is hit B for bone and select these two bones, and we're going to change their size. So we're going to scrunch them down, their scale, and let's go to 25% and see what that looks like. Well, that's a little bit extreme, I think, so let's try 50%. So that's kind of extreme as well, but I think that's a better extreme. So we'll go to 50% for the minimal skull size. And then for the maximum skull size, you're going to jump over here to 141. Let's go ahead and try 150. So just put a 1 there. And there's our 150. So for a ladybug, I think that's quite wide. I think we probably shouldn't go any wider than that. So now, with the moving of those bones, we should also move the antennas out. So we're going to grab B for bone, and we're going to take this antenna, and let's move it right over top of center of the eye. We'll go with the center of the eye there, or approximately, and then the other one the other direction, again over the center of the eye. And in fact, let's go a little further, because I'm going to stretch the eyes out. Since the skull is wide, we'll make the eyes go wide as well. So let's go all the way to right there. And then we're going to grab the bones for the eyes, and we're going to stretch those. Let's try the same numbers. Let's scale it at 150 here. And so that works for the eyes. So with the eyes out, we're also going to have to affect the face. So the upper part of the face. So let's go down into the face, because we don't have any bones on the face part here. And we're going to grab the upper part right where the eyeballs intersect with those points there. I'm going to hit T, and holding Alt, I'm going to stretch the face outward, and just past the eyes I think is good enough. Yeah, and then we're going to do the eyebrows. Let's bring those out as well. We're going to hit B for bone and hit here and then T. We're not resizing them or anything. We're just going to move them straight over to be above the eye where they need to be. Because the point of eyebrows is to shade the eye a bit. And that looks good there. So there's our wide skull. And now we're going to go down to our narrow skull. And so I'm not going to move the eyebrows yet. We need to do the eyes first. So we're going to go B for bone and grab the eye bones. And we're going to reduce those to 50% on the scale. And that makes them just touching. That might be a little bit of a problem when we enlarge the eyes. But for now, I think the nose is off center. I think in my head turn, I didn't return the nose to center. So let's go and fix that before we move any further. So we'll go all the way to the bottom. And head left and right. And when we get to 33, we go to the nose. And yeah, I don't think I'm resetting the object itself. So reset, there we go. So that's how you troubleshoot something that you might have done wrong. So I'm just going to check this one as well. Yeah, it didn't even change, so we're good. So now we can go back to our digital DNA for our skull size. So we go back to the bone layer. And then skull size. So now we've got our eyes together. And we're going to go into the face. And the nose looks right now, so... Alright, so now we're going to go into the face and grab those same points. So everything down to the eye level. And hit T. And then holding Alt so that it shrinks to the center. We're just going to shrink this in a bit. And let's keep the eyelashes inside the face. So right to there. And yeah, that looks a little funky, but we can change other things as well. And because we brought the eyes in, we're going to need to bring the eyebrows in. So B for bone, select this one, and hit T. Oh, I need to be in the bone layer again. And now hit T, and I can drag this on over, right like that. And then this one, we're going to come in. Trying to get it the same. And there we go. It's close. Now we're going to do the antennas. So grab one of them. And I'm holding shift while I'm dragging over so that they don't move up and down. Now these are going to end up almost touching. And I'm thinking I might have needed to give the antenna shoulders like I do with the eyes and other parts, but we'll see. And I just let go of shift because that is not in the right height. But there we go. So let's bring this one up just a hair. There we go. So there it is, the antennas. I started to say her antennas, but it could be a he as well. So now we're going to scroll through our timeline and watch our skull size change. So as you can see, we have 141 distinct skull size abilities here. So this gives us 141 different characters right now. So let's go to the next one. And this one is going to be the eye size. So like I said, this one may interfere with the one we just did somewhat, depending on how much we change the eyes. So here is eye size. We're at the minimal position. We're going to go into the left eye, and we're going to grab its layer. And the reason you want to grab layer is so that it changes the stroke with the size. If you want the stroke to stay the same, you would need to go in and change each object of the eye. So that's a lot of extra work. Also, before we change anything, we want to set the center to be the center of this pin bone as well. So that should be the center of the eye. And then we'll do the same thing on the right eye. We're going to zoom in, and we're going to make its center in the center of this pin bone. As close as I can get it anyway. There. Now, when I shrink the eye, it will stay where it belongs. Okay? We're going to go to each eye, grabbing the layer, and then we're going to change the XY scale, both of them, to 50%. And then we're going to do the same thing on the right eye. The Z we're not messing with because we're not working in the Z axis with this character. So there is our minimal eye size, and we go to 141, and we're going to set our maximum eye size. And that's simply going to be 150 on each X and Y. Whoops. Somehow I got on the sclera instead of the right eye. There we go. Alright, so here we want 150 and 150. And then on the left eye, 150 and 150. If we go to the center, and we need to go to the center, we need to reset those eyes back to normal. Not show 100, but to reset them. Because if we don't reset them, any other effects we use on the eyes will be affected by this. And we didn't do that on the DNA for the skull size. I may have messed up the head turn and everything. Ouch. Let's take a look. I'll bet it's what is going on here. Yeah, we still got the eye in the wrong place. And it's probably in the head turn and head tilt. Because that's the only place where I've affected where the eyes are. So, head left and right. And in the middle, we're going to want to reset the layer for the left eye. And at the extremes as well. So, reset and reset, but look at the right one too, it's also wrong. So we'll reset the position on the eye, and that brings it where it belongs. And then we need to do it here as well. So now let's check in between just to be sure. Alright, so it looks like that fixes part of it. Let's go into the head up and down and just be sure that it's not affected here. So that seems to be good there. Alright, so let's go back. Like I've said, folks, I am not an expert at this. I'm figuring it out as I'm going along. And yeah, I invented this digital DNA myself, but that doesn't mean I know Moho enough to have done it properly. Alright, so we'll go to the main character here. And let's test the head, the skull size changing. Alright, and then the eye size changing. Well, one of them's changing, one of them's not. So with all that I've done, I apparently took that one out. But let's go in and fix that now. So that would be the character's left eye, and yeah, that's the one we've been dealing with. Oh yeah, I removed everything. We go to the left eye. And at the minimum position, we're scaling it down to 50%. And then at 141, we're going to scale it up to 150%. And there we go. So now, go to the main bone layer and we can test, and it's always best to test in the animation frame, and then you can see everything that's going on. We can now try to go to the animation frame. There we are, and we can change the size of the skull, and we can change the eye size. And now we have 141 times 141 possible characters. Okay, so as you can see, each one of these digital DNA that we add is going to multiply our previous value by 141. So by the time we're done, we'll be at 468 Undecillion. Alright, so the next one is this, and so we're going to go here and to its action, which is the antenna size. And this one's fairly easy because all we're going to do is change the bones for the antenna size. So we don't need to go into the character or anything. We're just going to grab all 6 of these bones, and then for our minimal size, we're going to bring it down to 50%. Let's scale it to 50%. And there we go. And then for our maximum size, we're going to scale it to 150%. And there we go. So we've got very long antenna and very short antenna. And then of course at the midpoint, we're going to reset even though it's showing the right value. And that's releasing the antennas for other actions. Alright, so now our next action is going to be our spots. So the spots on the carapace for the ladybugs. So, well, you can't see the spots, you might be thinking. Well, that's true. But we've already got our minimum maximum settings for the lever. So now all we need to really do is work on what are we going to do with the spots. And in this case, because of what I'm going to do, I'm going to start at 71, which is the center point. And then I'm going to go into the carapace that has the spots, which are the ones that curve around. And then I can select the layer for the spots. And so you can see that layer right now. And it's all scrunched up. I think I must not have reset the spots when I did the carapace around the body. So again, remember I said if you don't do your resets, you're going to have some weird effects elsewhere. So let's go back to the main line. And we need to go into the carapace rotation, which is rotate carapace. And the spots need to be reset at the center. I sped this up because the audio was already missing. What I'm doing here though is the spots were not reset at 33 for the moving of the spots around with the carapace. So I needed them scrunched at 34 and I needed them scrunched at 32. But at 33 I don't, because they're invisible on both sides. So I reset the spots at 33 and I maintained their squash point up to the needed rounding of the body, so once they disappear they can go back to normal. So now when we go to the programming for the spots, for the DNA spots, this one. Now when we look at the spots, they should be normal. Ta-da. And they're basically reverse images of each other. So, with that understanding, and that we want to reset everything at the midpoint of 71, so now we can go to 71, we're going to grab spots, we're going to grab the layer, and we're going to reset the position, and that's all we're going to mess with, it's just the position. And so then the same with the spots for the other side, we're just going to reset their position. So now, as we move downward, so at 60, I'm going to move all these spots down. We want to keep them within the body of the carapace, so they end about right there. And then at 48, we're going to drag sideways, and you saw it pop back up because it's trying to return to normal center, so we'll bring it back down a little. Then at 36, I'm going to bring it up to about central point, and 24, I'm going to bring it to the bottom. Right there. And at 12, we're going to drag it sideways and keep it up where it was. And then at 1, we're going to drop it all the way down. And to the side. So as we go through, it should zigzag up and down, choosing different sets of spots. So now going the other direction, we're going to move at 84. We're going to drag straight up. And at 96, side. And at, let's see, not that far, we'll go about halfway. Then at 108, drag it down. way. 120. Rest of the way. And 132. Bring it to the side. And at 141, we'll drag it all the way up. Now, I'm hoping I can copy this and select the other spots and paste it, and that it'll affect the other spots. So there we go, up and around and sideways. And I just need to make sure that no matter what, the spots are still covering inside the carapace, and there we are. So now our spots will change as this lever moves, and so we can create 141 possible different spot pattern positions. So there we go. We're done with the DNA spots. We can't see it at the point, but if we go in to our character and go to the animation frame as we are, we can rotate the carapace, which is this one, this tool. So we're going to rotate the carapace. So now we can change the spots and see the spots changing. So we get different characters with different spots. And it's the same with the carapace the other side. Those will be changing as well. Alright, so the next digital DNA is the mouth size. So we're going into that action. And at minimum, we're going to shrink the size of the mouth. And so we're going to grab its layer, and we're going to go to 50% on the X and Y. Then we're going to jump to 141, and then we're going to go to 141, and we'll change those to 150%. And so there's our big mouth. And then of course it's 71. We need to reset that scale. Even though it looks right, it's got to be reset. So now we go back to our character and we go back to the main line. And let's clear the animation from the document. And our next bone is cheek size. And so we're going to go into that action. Now all these actions have already been created, and I'm not really adding a whole lot of changes at this point, so this is not going to overload it any more than it already is. So we go to the bone layer, and we're going to grab these cheekbones, and we're going to shrink them by 50%. And then we're going to go to 141 and stretch them on out to 150%. So there we go. So go back to 71, and we want to reset the bone. And that's it. We're done with the cheek size. Some of these are going to go real quick. Some of them take a lot of work. So we're now going to go to F. Now this is the one that takes a lot of work because of the number of limbs involved. So not the feet, not the hands, just the bicep, mid-arm, forearm, and then thigh, mid-leg, and shin are all being resized at this point. So we're going to go into the heft. We're going to be at position 1 automatically. This is going to be where everything is smaller than normal and on these different parts. Now, remember, we're using reference arms, so we only want to change the original arm, and the reference arm should change with it. It will change with it. So let's start here with the top left arm, and we're going to go through the biceps. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab these center points, just these two here, and hit T, and then scroll in so we can see what we're doing, and then Alt, and well, let's just change the scale to 50%. So we're going to reduce each of these to 50%. So now we go to the mid arm, and we're going to grab those points, and you're going to reduce the Y value to 50%. Okay, and then the forearm, and grab. So this is why I lay my characters out laid with the arms pointing straight out and the legs pointing straight down. It makes this particular feature easier to do. So believe me, it's much easier this way than if they're at an angle. Then you have to guess, and it doesn't work very well. So there's the top left arm. So now let's do the bottom left arm since we can already see it. So we're going to go to the biceps, and we're going to grab these points, and we're going to reduce them by 50%, or to 50%. And then the mid arm. Change it to 150. There we go. Now it looks right. So now we've got the heft of this species. So that would be the heaviest ladybug. That would be the normal ladybug. And that would be the very skinny ladybug. So that's all working. Go to the main line. Bug. And the next bone is thorax size. So the thorax is the shoulder area here. And so we're just going to grab the whole thing. Let's see. There we go. And I think what we can do, yeah, just we're going to grab everything but the neck. So we're going to leave the neck alone. Hit T. And for minimal, I'm going to bring it down a bit and bring it inward a bit. And then for out and maximum, drag it out a bit and drag it up a bit. So there we go, and back to 71, and we reset. And there we go. So now we can shrink it and grow it. Alright, so now back to the main character. hairline. And all of these face objects I no longer need, so I'm going to delete them. So after thorax size, we've got the height of the character. So we're going to go into height. Now when you change the leg height, you got to change the arms as well. So we're going to grab B for bone, and we're going to grab these two bones, these two bones, these two bones. I don't want any of these round ones or controller ones in between. And these two, and these two, and these two, and these two, and these two. But I don't want the wings, and I think I got rid of the wings just by choosing the second ones. Yeah, we're good. So now all those bones, for minimal, we're going to reduce them to 50%. So we get a short character. And then at 141, we're going to go to 150 for a very tall, skinny, bony legged character. And of course at 71, we need to reset. So we want to reset their scale. And that's it. We're done with height. So now, the next one is eyelashes. Right there. And why did I make one just for eyelashes? Because originally I was thinking, well, that'll be our male, female, but you know what? I've had some friends and relatives with very long eyelashes that were both male and females with short lashes. So it's just to do the lashes. So we're going to go into the eye, and here's the eyelashes for the one of them. So we're going to grab and then T, and let's go to X150. Yeah, we'll just do that. Just X150. Oh, we're at minimum. So it would be X at 50. So first reset, then change it to 50. Okay, and that would mean it needs to move over to stay in contact with the eye. Alright, and then the other eyelashes, the same thing. So we're going to grab all. We're going to reduce them to 50% on the X. And then we're going to make sure they're still in contact with the eye, which this side seems to be fine. So we're good there. Alright, so now at maximum of 141, we're going to want them to have very long lashes, or X at 150. But first we need to reset the center, because otherwise it's not going to go to 150. So we're going to reset, and reset. And now we go to 141, and we go to X150. And move it so that it's in the right place, but still contacting the eye with all the lashes. Alright, and this side, 150, and it does need to be moved over, but I don't think I need to tilt it. So there we go. So there's our long lashes, and in the middle we've already reset, so we're good to go. Lashes get longer and shorter, but there's always going to be some lashes on this character. So now we're done with the lashes, and Next we've got abdomen size. So this is going to be how wide the abdomen is. So we go into that. We're already at minimal, so we need to shrink the abdomen in. And we're going to do that by using these bones. All of these bones here. And all of these bones here. And so we're going to reduce those to 50%. And that means that we need to also reduce our abdomen parts to 50%. So we're going to go down here to the bottom. No, not the bottom. Where did I put it? Oh, right here, abdomen. So now we have to do the abdomen by each individual part. We can't just do it. So we're going to grab the whole thing. And the X scale is going to be 50%. And then, of course, at the maximum, well, at the center, we need to go to the center first with these because we're changing the object. So now we need to reset at the center. Alright, and at this point the bones will also be reset. So we're going to select all these bones that we changed before. So these four, and holding shift, these four. And then we're going to go to the bone layer. And we're going to reset them. So there we've got our character normal, and then at 50%, and because the carapace is moving with it and the wings are also moving inward, I think it's going to work. So let's go to 141, and now we need to go to 150 on the scale. And then the abdomen needs to be 150. So now what we need to test is whether or not the character rotates around the abdomen at the large abdomen. So we go into the main line. We want to be back out of the action. And we need to be on the bone layer for the character. And we're going to go into animation frame 1. There we go. Alright, so we're changing the abdomen size to extremely wide, and then do the arms still rotate around it properly? Just, yep, it's right at the edge. So there, that's working. That one's working. And then of course the legs rotate around the bottom part as they should. Let's go to the minimum and test it there as well. So leg rotation. Well, they were disconnected right there, didn't it? No, maybe not. Maybe it was just because I was moving too fast. No, right there it's disconnected. And around the other side. Got to do the same thing. Yeah, it's disconnecting there. So I think, let's see the arms. Yeah, the arms are disconnecting at the minimum So I think what we need to do is just take the body parts back up a little bit, leaving the bones where they're at. So let's go back into the action. Abdomen size. DNA, sorry. So abdomen size. And on the body parts where they were shrunk, I think we'll go to 75% instead of 50. So, and I gotta reset it first, and then go to 75 instead of 50. And let's test the rotation. So, that seems to be working. Getting extra slide there. Alright, so there is our abdomen size is working. So our next bone, clear all this. Is the wing size. So we double click. And then we go down to our wings within our carapace. There we go. So we've got the wing in two parts. Let's just make them skinnier and a little bit shorter on the lower part of the wing. So we're going to grab the object, and we've got all the parts. We're going to shrink it upward and inward. And about right there. So we're just inside of the tip of the wing bone right there. So let's do the other wing. Same way. And just inside the bone right there. So the upper part of the wing won't get shorter because then it will disconnect, but we'll make it narrower. Right there. And right there. Yeah. Alright, so then at the maximum at 141, we'll just reset the upper wings. And then we'll reset the lower wings as well. I should have done this at the center, so I don't have to do it twice, but alright. And then we really can't make them a lot wider, but we can make them a little longer. So I'm just going to bring them down to match the tip of the toe. How's that? So the lower wing here. So while the wings do get bigger, they're not getting a lot bigger. So then we're going to go to 71, and we're going to reset. And upper wing reset. And then upper wing reset. And then lower wing reset. Alright, so now that's our wing size. Let's go to the last one for the body changes for physical changes, and this one will be body type. And with this one I go in and change a lot of different little things. So this bone here, and that's right there. So let's start with the antennas. So we're going to go into the character. Well, let's start with the bones. We'll start with the bones. So what we'll do is, for the far minimum, we'll make the antenna stand up a little more. A little too much there. Right there. All right, and let's move the center point on the eye, or the skull, the face there. We're going to bring this center up. So we'll put it right, and we'll go up. Yeah, why not? We'll go up to there with the face part. The eyes. Let's see. On the eyes, I'm going to make the bone, this B bone, and this bone. So hit T. And we'll bring them lower for this position. And then at 41, we'll raise them back up. For the cheeks on this face, I don't think I want to mess with it. Well, yeah, we'll grab B for bone. And grabbing these two bones and hit T. So we'll bring the cheeks down as well. You don't have to come down a lot, but it will make a difference in what the character looks like. And then for the nose, let's make the nose smaller. So I'm holding Alt and going from the corner so it stays centered. So there we've got a smaller nose. And on the lips, so we're going to go into the lips and hit T and grab just this center point here and then hit curve. And so here we're going to add just a little bit of curve to the lips, to the upper lips. That shouldn't affect any of the mouth shapes that I've done. And let's do, I'm going to hit T for thickness, and I'm going to make them thicker. Not thickness, W for width. I'm going to make them thicker. And the same with the bottom one there. We'll make that thicker. So there, the lips changed. And let's see, what else can we change? I don't want to change the skull. So let's go to the thorax, which is right there. So on the thorax, I'm going to grab these 2 points here. That's it. So I'm going to drop those down. Just like that. And I think we need the neck to come down with that. So I'm going to grab these bottom 2 neck ones and bring those down as well. Yeah, so it makes it look a bit more feminine, I think. And let's bring this point in the center of the thorax up. So there we go. Alright, what we'll do is we'll grab these bones, and these bones, and these bones. Oh, so not all those bones. Let's get rid of that. We want just this bone and this bone. Okay, so those 6 bones, and we're going to change their size. So, at this size, I would want to reduce them to 90%. Okay, and since I've got them all selected, I'm going to jump to 140 or to 71 and reset first. Reset, and then at 141, they're going to be 110%. Now, that's going to throw the whole body of the character off a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these bones, and these bones, and these bones, and we're going to do the opposite. So right now, these will be 90%. Whoops, not 990. So those will be 90%. At the maximum. At the middle, they're going to reset. So we reset. And then at the minimum, they're going to be 110. So that they're the opposite of the other bones at this point. So now, as I change this, the legs and arms are changing, but the hands are staying exactly where they were. Okay, so we're getting a body difference, and it will change how the character walks and moves the arms, but they will be different. So there we go. So now at 141, we need, or well, let's go to 71. We're going to reset everything we've done. So we've got all those bones resetting already. But I'm going to go ahead and grab the rest. So this one, and 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 that one. So that's all the ones on the lower part that we changed. Then we got these 2, and these 2, and these 2. And we want to reset all of those back to their original scale. And there we are. And so now at 141, so we've already done the arms and legs, so now we're going to go B for bone and choose these cheekbones and hit T, and we're going to raise them up this time. And the same with the eyes. We're going to raise those up. And we'll just bring them right below the eyelashes, just barely not touching. Yeah. So there's that. And then these, we changed their angle, so we need to reset the angle. Oh, bone, and bone, and reset. There we go. And more than reset, we want to bring these on down. There. And I'm just going to bring this up so I can check where the height is on each of those compared to the top of the screen. And I want to make them about the same. So we'll bring that to there and bring this one down. Alright, I'm going to zoom in closer. Now, that one needs to be just barely touching. Alright. To change the face, we have. Let's take a look. I'm going to reset, and then bring this down even more. And let's bring these over a little. So there's 141 and 71. T, select all of it, and reset. Voila. So lips. G to grab. I'm going to grab those center points and width, and that is going to reset, but I'm just going to go to 100 and hope that's where it was. Then we're going to go to 141, and we'll make it thinner, so we'll go 50%. There we go. Thin lips. Alright, so back to center. Have we reset everything? The neck, the abdomen, the thorax, I mean. So we grab the thorax and hit T and reset. And then we go to 141. And this is where we're going to want a beefier character maybe. So grab these points and hit T. And I'm just going to raise them up. Alright, so we're getting some major changes here to our character's body type. Alright, what else? I really don't think we should change anything else. I think that should be enough. Yeah, that's plenty. That's plenty of change. Alright, so back to the main line. So we're going to save our character, and when I come back we'll finalize by doing all of the colors for the bugs, the various species character colors. Yesterday I just started coloring the character without any real plan in mind. I had forgotten to bring up the original and look it over before I got into doing the coloring. And so I have a spreadsheet that I've been using, and yesterday I said, oh, I'm just not going to use the spreadsheet. I'm just going to use it to tell me which bones and parts I'm working on. Well, as you saw if you watched yesterday's video, that didn't work out really well. So I did spend most of yesterday afternoon collecting the colors from the original .cell drawing or animated character. So I did make a few little changes, but mostly these colors now are the colors I need to create the static character of the AnyLadyBugs. Because of the way the bones work here, they center to the 0 position. Now Moho will teach you to not use negative numbers with these bones in control bones, because you have to understand that you're using from minus 70 to 70 is actually 141 positions. And you need to return all the parts to neutral at the 0 point. So these bones are all constrained from the original Moho values of minus 70 to 70. And we have a 0 in between. So this is 140 plus 1 in between for 141. The 1 in between is our reset position. That's where everything needs to go back to not being altered at all. And we do that by releasing or using the reset button at the 0 value of this bone, where if we go left, we're going into the negatives. We go right, we're going into positive. But on our timeline, it starts at 1. Now, this is not a problem for me because I've been a computer programmer since the 1970s. And using 0 and 1 as the same value has never been an issue. You have to learn that right off. If you're building an array, your first position is 0, your second position is 1, and so on. So you're always one number off. Well, in this particular case, we're putting 0 in the middle, and our timeline needs to be 141, or it should be 141 or a variable thereof. So the 140, not the 141. So the 1 is always an added. The 140 is where you go, okay, we can either double it to 280 or we can half it to 70. So at half, at 70, that would only give us 70 possible changes with this bone. But by going to 141, we get 141 changes, with 0 being our reset. Okay? So, with that all covered, I'm going to start coloring the character based on my spreadsheet, which I've laid out. And I've laid this out for other characters as we've done this as well. So, it's always best to prepare instead of just jumping into it. Even though I am the biggest jumper into it you might have ever met. But anyway, when you learn things, you learn things. So yesterday I learned this is the best way to do it. I developed this as a way to do it, but I ignored it yesterday. So no more ignoring. So now we're going to start with this bone and we're going to do the coloring. And so this is AnyLadyBug 13, and I'm going to save this as 15 because I used 14 yesterday and we're skipping over that. We're not going to use it. Oh, I didn't. No, I don't want to replace 14. I want 15. I'm saying the thing I'm not doing. Alright, so 15. And we're going to go into our actions. And we want the DNA face color. So, just like any of the other control bones, we're going to be going from the minimal side to the maximum side, and we're going to be making changes in between. The difference is when you deal with coloring, there is no reset. So we have to start off at our lowest end. We need black and white. The reason is we are going to use these characters in coloring pages and comics where the comics are done in black and white so that the comics can be done as coloring pages. And so if you visit our website, dangerware.org, and you read the Bugillagers comics, those pages are black and white intentionally so they can be printed out so children can color those pages. And in fact, we have a coloring book of sorts on Teespring, which has those same images, but blown up, bigger, higher quality. So we're on the face color, and the first thing we need to do is go through each of the parts in our spreadsheet that are going to be affected by this bone. And as you can see, I've got it colored coral here, and I believe that's the color it is here. Yeah, so it's the coral bone. So my spreadsheet has got it coral, and it's going to be these parts that are all going to be affected by this particular bone. And yes, I went through this last night and made changes to match the Ladybug character specifically. So we've got our face, so we're going to go to the face first. So we're going to go over here, and on face we want to set the color value, which you use by selecting the shape first. The shape is already created, and it's got a name. If we looked in the styles here, you can see it has a name of S1. We could change this to say face outline, and that way anyone coming behind us would know, oh, that shape is this. And that's what you do when you have a lot of shapes in a particular single layer. Then you want to name the different parts so that anyone coming behind working on that character can then know what they're working on. I break everything up in layers here, so I hardly ever need to use shapes here. Anyway, we now have that shape selected, so we want to select white and then just say OK. And when we do, we're going to get an indicator on the timeline here that we have set the color of this particular shape. And why is this here twice? Well, this line is showing us what we currently have selected, where this is showing us everything on the timeline for this position. So just remember that when you're using copy-paste of these points to do things. So now we need to set the stroke to black, and we're just going to do the same thing, select it, and then OK. And so now you can see the one image is for the fill, and the other image is for the stroke of that color value. So now we've set this value for black and white. So the next item is going to be the skull. So we go to the skull, and we do the same thing. We select it as an object. It's going to be S1, I guess, shape 1. That's what it is. It's a shape. So shape 1, and we're just going to select black and white and set that on the timeline for this layer. Okay, so we're doing this by layer, but we're setting the item in the layer using the shape. There's only one shape in this layer, so we're setting the colors for it. So next is our eyelids. So we go up to the eyes here, and here we have the lower lid and upper lid. So let's go to the upper lid first, and that's going to be on the right eye. So we select it here, and you can see that it has selected it. And then we're just going to select the black and white values just to set them, so that when we move the lever all the way to the left, we're going to have a black and white character. So then we do the lower lid. Same thing. And then we can do the other eye, upper lid. And then the lower lid. And don't forget, you've got to select the object. You can't just put the value. You've got to select that shape. I should stop saying object and start saying shape, because that is the name of the object in the programming. So there's our lids. The next object that's in this bone is the nose. So we go to the nose, which is down here, and we select that and set it to black and white. Next we have the mouth, and so that counts for the lips and the inside of the mouth. So when we go to the mouth, we're not coloring it here under mouth, we're actually going into the base of this mask, which is the lips, and we're going to set the foreground and background for the lips, and that of course is black and white. Now sometimes I'll use shades of gray, like with the pupils here. So black and white is not always required in a coloring page. Sometimes you can use gray. So that is what's going to happen when I get to the pupils. So now we've got the lips and the background for the mouth set. And so our next one is teeth. So we're just going to select the teeth. We got to be on that teeth level. So top teeth, they're right there. We're going to set those. And then the bottom teeth, which you can barely see, and we can select. So there we go. Now these, the teeth, there is actually another item here. There is another shape. So we can go here and see that there's shape 2, and that you can barely make it out is the gums for the teeth. So we're going to grab that and set that as well. And there is no stroke used on the gums, but I'm setting it anyway. And I'm going to go back to the top teeth and grab the second shape here. And now that it's chosen, I can set the values. So I don't have to go over and actually click on it if I bring down the shapes list, and if I know what this is. So I should change this to upper gums, and this one should be upper teeth, and then we do that on the bottom ones. So it takes a little bit longer to set this up and, you know, prepare for the next person after you. But I'm sure if you're following someone else, you would appreciate if they had done this for you. So oops. So there we go. There we have our bottom teeth shape inside our bottom teeth layer. And then we've got the two different shapes here. I started to say objects again. So we have two different shapes here. So now, go back to our spreadsheet. And we got teeth and gums. So the gums were listed separate. And then we have the tongue. So now we go to the tongue in the mouth and select the shape and set it at black and white. But if you've been watching, you know better than that, because we have the tongue out and down. So we need to select its shape because it's kind of hidden at the moment. It's invisible. So we'll just select it anyway and set those colors even while it's not visible. How do I know it's not visible? Because right here on the timeline, it's showing me that it's not visible. And it's because another action is making it not visible. So just keep that in mind. You can always tell what's going on in your other action if you learn to read all the clues from Moho. I'm really pleased with it. So anyway, now we're going to go to the tongue out and up, select its shape, and select colors. So now the tongue is done in all three states. There's a tongue in the mouth, a tongue out pointing down, and a tongue out pointing up, so that we can have the tongue look like it's coming out between the teeth. So, going back to my spreadsheet, I believe that was the last one for this boat. So now, we've got our coloring page taken care of. So now we're going to jump to the midpoint, the 71, which is the exact point where the bone is going to be pointing at the 0 mark in the bone action. So at 0, we need to now set the color of all these things to the spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and start where we're at the tongue. So here's the color I chose for the tongue. So I'm just going to copy this. And I'm going to go into the tongue again here, which I've already got the shape. And I'm going to select the color. And I'm going to paste that value I've saved right there. So just tell it okay. And now the tongue has that color. Again, we see the black bar, which tells us that the tongue is not actually visible at this point because the other bone has it as invisible. Okay? So now we need to do the tongue out and down the same way. We've already got this shape selected, so we'll just select this and paste. And then finally with the actual tongue inside the mouth. Same thing. And we need to get the stroke for the tongue. So we go back to the spreadsheet. And here's the stroke here. So we copy that value. And we go in and set that, whoops, not the fill, but the stroke. And paste that. So there's our stroke color. And we need to do that to the tongues both in and out. And you can see it's already taking place with the tongue that's inside the mouth. So that's what our tongue looks like. It's a little bit darker at the edge than it is in the center of the tongue. So now we go to our next object in the list, and that is going to be the gums. So we get the color for the gums here. Copy it. And we go to the bottom teeth or the top teeth. And we select the gums. And so see, now that we know which one's which, we go, okay, we want the gums. And we're going to paste that value. There we go. And then the bottom teeth, we're going to select the gums. And set their value. Alright, so now we've got to do the stroke. Even though I don't use the stroke, I want it set just in case somebody does. And it's the same value. So we're just going to go back and put in that same value for the stroke. And on both sets of gums, and just make sure that you're on the gums object. Shape. Alright, and so now we've got our gums, and next we're going to be doing the teeth. So bottom teeth. So it looks like for this character it's strictly white, but there is a color for the stroke. So we're going to copy the stroke, and we're going to go to the teeth. And we're going to select the shape of the teeth, and then the bottom teeth are going to, they're going to be white, and the stroke will be just a slight gray. The top teeth, and we want to select the teeth, and then the stroke, and paste. So now we go to our spreadsheet. So we got gums, we got teeth. now we need to do the lips and the internal of the mouth. So this is the inside of the mouth here. So we go to lips and select the fill and paste. So there's the inside, and then we get the color for the stroke. And paste that. So you can see how much easier and faster this is to have prepared for the colors ahead of time. So next we've got the nose. So we're going to go to the nose here, and there's only the one shape. So we got it selected. So the fill color for the nose, this. So Control C to copy and paste the value here, and then the stroke, and there we got the nose. Next is the eyelids. So we want this color for the fill. And we go to the upper lid. And yeah, there's only one object, so as long as we've selected that shape, we know that's the one we're going to use. So there's the color for the fill, and then the lower lid, and it's already selected. So there we go. And then the other eye, upper lid, selected already. Paste. And the lower lid, selected, so we can paste. And now we go back and get the stroke. This is the stroke. We can copy it here as easily as up there. And the stroke here, and paste. And then upper lid, stroke. Lower lid, stroke. And upper lid, stroke. So there we've got our eyelids. Next we're going to do the skull. So here's the color the skull should be for the fill. So we go to the skull here, and it's already selected. There's only one shape in the skull, so it's easy, and we do that. And then we need the stroke. And I can tell because of the 0000 that this is going to be nearly black. So it probably could stay black, but it's going to come into the red bit. So there we go. We've got the skull, and finally we're going to do the face. So, whoops. So for the face, we need this value. There we go. We've got the face done. And so now we can move to the far end of the spectrum for the face. So this is our center. This is what it's going to look like here. As it moves this way, it's going to move towards our black and white. And we're probably not going to want to do that. We're going to want to have other colors here. Now, I looked it up yesterday. Ladybugs come in all kinds of colors. And about 50% of them have a black face. And about 30% have white face. And then the rest have pink, green, red. Don't think I saw a blue one, but yeah, just about every other color is out there for ladybug faces. It's unreal. So, since we're using yellow for the, or an orangish yellow here, let's go to here, and I want to make that value a lot more yellow. So I'm going to bring it into there. And then the same with the stroke. We're going to bring it into the yellows. We don't need to change the other value. We're just going to change the hue. So there we go. We've got another yellow there. Now as it goes this way, yeah, let's go to grays or browns. So let's do kind of a brown. That. And then the same in here. Go to the brown. Still want it to look good. There. So then we're going to move to 36 and we'll take it into some pink or orange anyway. Well, orange is center anyway already, so let's take it into some red. So not a true full hard red. That works. And then for the stroke. That looks good. And then 24. Let's go to pink is good. I'm fine with pink here. So we'll just set it. We won't change it. But not much anyway. So there we'll use that pink. This stroke's a little dark. Take it up to there. And then before it gets to white, we want to go full gray. So we're going to go all the way over here. Go to, well, we're going to go all the way to black. Yeah. Although it makes it hard to see things, so let's not go quite all the way to black. But right there, I think is good. And then from there, it'll go to white and all the grays in between. So, well, 6 or 12 grays in between. Yeah. So there we've got some grays and the black, and then goes to the reds. Well, the browns first, then the reds. No, here's the browns. So, let's see. Okay, yeah. So we go from the grays to the pinks, and from the pinks to the red, and from red to brown, brown to yellow, and yellow to an orange, which is the original color. So let's take it now even further into the orange. I mean, let's really get orange here. So, let's see. Yeah, there's a solid orange. And then we'll get the stroke for that orange, and we'll just go a little bit darker. And there's orange. And then we're going to move into, let's see, let's move all the way into green now. And then that means we've got to go full dark green. So we've got to get like this kind of green. I should have done this green first, but that's right, we'll get it. So we got this green, and then the stroke for that green. Alright, so now I want this in front of the other one. I just pick these up and move them over here, and then move these. Oops. Move these, both the stroke and the fill, over to here. So move these to there. So now we go from this color green to that color. And now we're going to move into the blue. So we're getting to the end of our color change possibilities. But yeah, let's do that color blue there. And then finally at 141, this is our last color change. We're going to go with the deep, deep blue. So right about there. And the same here. We just go right about there. So now the face color changing. We can make many different color face ladybugs and go through the whole spectrum. Pretty much. Not all colors, but so there's the grays to the black to kind of dark red to light red to yellows and oranges. This deep orange here should actually be between red and yellow. So let's see. Right here we're browns. I'm thinking I'm going to move this orange over here and move this bright yellow over here. We're still maintaining our center point at 71 to be our main character colors. So this will go into more yellow and then into green. So yeah, that's even better. And then this way it is into orange and then down to brown and then into red. So that's a better thing there. And so then on from yellow to green to cyan. Didn't get to cyan yet. Well, kind of right there. That's close. Alright, we're good. And then the blues, and then the deeper blues. And that's the final, 141. Now, say we wanted to go, oh man, we need more colors than that. We could change our timeline to 241, or 281. And then we would have twice as many color changes, but we'd still only have the same lever movement of -70 to 70 plus the 0 in the middle. So now we've got the face, we need to do the skull. So here's the skull value at the center, which we've already put in. So we're just going to jump to the skull now. So from here forward, to finalizing all the colors, it's the same process. I simply have to select each and every shape on the character, set the black and white level first, then set the minimum color, the maximum color, well, the color at the minimum position, the color at the maximum position, and then whatever changes in between that I want. And we end up with many, many different possibilities. So this process took me to complete this character well over 40 hours. So I have reduced that 40 hours down to these 4 videos, and this one is still running very long. So I apologize if this is boring at this point, because it is just repeating the same process over and over and over. So I'm going to jump from here to the end of this process, and then we're going to work on finalizing the animation project. Not so much finalizing the character, but finalizing the details that everybody needs to use when they come to work on this character. So you can watch my other videos where I've done this process, and watch each individual shape be colored, but it is exactly the same on the final 5 controls. They simply color different parts of the body, and that gives us a wider variety than just using 141 different colors for the entire body, So this is going to work out with quite a few different colors available. All right, you have a great day, and let's move on to the next step in the project. We can test our final colors. So there we got white, purple, pink, red, then brown, and then green, and yellow, then orange. So there we go. We've got the full range of spot colors, and the eye colors are changing, and the antennas are changing. So we're done. This character is complete as far as the coloring and the shapes and all that. It's fully functional. Everything seems to be working properly. Alright, so we can change our colors to anything we want, and just like that, we can have a different character in a matter of moments. Okay, so let's see. What's this one? Oh, there. That's the F. Base. So all right. Now, when we go to animate this character, we don't want to have a bunch of bones in the way that we really don't need to work with. So, all of these bones here are called shy bones. So you can see I've got the shy bone functionality activated on them, so that when we turn the shy bones off or on, they show up. So, but we need to set them as shy bone here. We don't want to turn them off and on here. We want to turn them off and on with show shy bone. So see, now we can see them, but they're still indicating that they're shy bones. Well, we want to do that for all the other bones that we don't want to mess with during animation. And that would mean any of these little round bones, pin bones. So I'm just going to hit B, this bone, and this bone to also be shy bones. So I can keep selecting and do a whole bunch of them at once, or I can do a small group and then mark those as shy. But I'm going to go and grab a bunch of them. So here we've got this whole hand. We don't need any of these pin bones to be in place or showing up when we're trying to manipulate the character, because then we grab these pin bones instead of the bone we intend to get. And so it's just best to hide them all. Now you can just go in and click hide bones, but then if you use show all bones, then all of these bones will be visible again, and the only way to get them invisible again is to do what I'm doing now. So it's better to turn them into shy bones. So that makes our character much easier to work with. We don't need to see this bone either. So that's a shy bone. So now we're finished with the character. It's all ready to rig. It's rigged. It's all ready to animate. And all of the bones we don't need to see are hidden. And if we want to make a character out of it, we simply go to our timeline and we go in and show the shy bones. So now we can manipulate all of these bones here to create a different character. And once we've got a different character, we hide the shy bones. And there we go. We now have our character. This character will maintain this look throughout our animation, no matter what we do. But we can fully manipulate it here. And we can do the eyes and the head. And all of that works. So that's finished. So the last thing we do before we complete this is to color all of these parts. Okay? So as I've said, I always use the Moho basic color chart you can see on these parts that were imported from another character. And we're just going to do the same thing all the way through. So we start with each one of these completely open so that we can see every layer in the entire character. And so as you can see, there are quite a few of these layers. Alright, so then inside of each grouping, we start with the first one and we simply change its color to the light blue we've got. So we're going to move this over. So here we can see the color. So we're going to change this to blue, cadet blue, and upper wing. Or, I'm sorry, cadet blue, and then coral for the last one. And then the same thing here. We're going to go blue, cadet blue, and coral. And because they're the same objects, it's just with different, different parts of the body, we now know that these are, it's easy to go, oh, lower wing is the blue, upper wing is the cadet blue, and the carapace is the coral. So now that these are completely, we can reduce them. And so now those are inside of this group. So this one becomes blue, and this one becomes cadet blue. Alright, and then this group is already done. So we can see the hand is blue. Then we got cadet blue for the forearm, mid-arm, and biceps. If we open up the hand, then object doesn't count, but then thumb, blue, cadet blue, coral, green, and pink. All in order. And so each one of these hands are going to have the same color layout in the same place. So once we've got a complete group colored, we close it. And then this one is completely colored and it's closed, or we can close it. And this one is complete, so we can close it. So this one is complete and we're going to close it. This one's complete and we're going to close it. And this one's complete and we're going to close it. So now we've got all these abdomens inside. So abdomen 6 is going to be blue, cadet blue, coral, green, orange, pink, and that's it. And then we close that up. And these are all complete, so we close that up. There we go. And now we've got just the upper body, so we can close that. So now we're done with everything else. Oh, the spots too, we don't need that anymore, so we're going to delete that. We do need the phoneme wheel, so we're going to keep that. So now you can see all of this is under AnyLadyBug. So we start with the first item and blue. Next item's cadet blue. Then coral. Then green. Then orange, pink, and purple. So now our character is fully colored. I do not color the character name itself because I want to be able to color that when I add multiples, so I can easily change this to whatever I need it to be as a character. So now we want to open every one of these again and confirm that everything is now colored. So just open up every single one of these little triangles. There we go. There is all of the layers for this character. And let's see, we can see over here, maybe 210. So I have 210 layers in this character. That's what I mean by extreme characters. But this one character will produce 468 Undecillion possible characters. And when we turn on the identity, we'll be able to see those values as they change. So, and as you can see, the objects in hand are all invisible. So now everything is colored and it's done. So let's save this as a new file. And it's going to be number 17. Now I'm not going to go and drop the name down to 1 or 0 or anything like that, because I may have to come in and make some corrections. And somebody else might want to pick up this character and work with it. And I want to make sure they're working on the latest one always, so they always look for the largest value. So that's it. We're done. This character's finished. I appreciate you watching. Please visit dangeraware.org if you can afford to. Donate $1 or $10 or $100. Help us change the paradigm of abuse awareness. Help us make these characters that we can now make into cartoons that will teach kids personal rights and how to call out the early stages of abuse so that the later stages can never be gotten to. So you have a wonderful day. Thanks again for joining us, and keep smiling and keep animating.
Danger, danger, could be a stranger, could be the one that lives next door. Danger, danger, could be a stranger, could be the one that you adore. Watch for the things that cause alarm. Watch for the one that would do you harm. Danger, danger, could be a stranger, could be the one that lives next door. Danger, danger, could be a stranger, could be the one that you adore. Please be alert and be aware of all the dangers anywhere. Danger, danger, could be a stranger, could be the one that lives next door. Danger, danger, could be a stranger, could be the one that you adore. Stand your ground and speak out loud. be a stranger, could be the one that you adore. Danger, danger. Danger, danger. Danger, danger, could be a stranger, could be the